Hi, Ollie. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Hi, Tracy. Good to see you.
I'd love to be able to ask you a few questions just to be able to get your take on your experience of global tech advocates and tech London advocates. So I just wondered if I could start with for you to introduce yourself. Like, who are you? What do you do? And how did you get started with GTA?
Yeah, well, hello, I'm Oli Barrett, and I sit on the advisory board for the Tech London Advocates and the Global Tech Advocates. It's been an honour to play a role helping to MC, so Master of Ceremonies, at numerous, especially Tech London Advocates over the years. And through the network, I've been able to travel to a whole range of different countries, meeting fellow advocates, whether that's in India, China, United States, Saudi Arabia, further afield. So it's been part of my life for over a decade, and in fact, since before it started.
Definitely. And I think whenever there's an event, and we always are looking forward to you comparing or leading it. So thank you so much for being so inspirational on stage, Ollie, because it brings everyone's energy up, and also you're asking all the controversial questions that we're all dying to ask. So I really appreciate that.
Kind. It's definitely one I always look forward to. It's a very unstuffy series of gatherings, and I'm never the expert, which is a great relief to everybody. But I do get very easily enthused because it's such a variety. And maybe we'll come back to that, Tracy. But something that sets, I'll just give Tech London Advocates as an example, which sets this group apart is I will go to an event and I will meet a whole range of generations. I will meet people from a really exciting startup or pre-startup, from some of the best known tech companies in the world, from a government department. I don't get that at most of the events I go to.
Wow, yeah, that's excellent. And you've answered a question I wanted to ask you. So why is GTA so attractive? So I think you've answered that question, but I would love to hear from you who you think should engage and collaborate with Global Tech Advocates and Tech London Advocates.
Well, I would say if you don't want to meet interesting people, if you don't want to have your perceptions challenged, if you don't want to discover new and interesting things, I would say probably don't join. That's the first thing. I think
Interesting way of putting
so.
it.
So I think on the flip side, yes, this is a global network. It won't be fed to you on a spoon. So it is very much a make the most of it. Chapters, working groups all around the world, and definitely on the members themselves to make the effort. I can give you some hopefully useful examples of that. So I would say the other thing is, although clearly it's a grassroots global business network, it's also very personal. So the simple fact is, whoever you are, it's almost certain that you're going to change jobs quite a few times in the years to come. Will you join this network as a person, as an advocate? In other words, when you move on, you remain an advocate, and that's really important. And so I think that's why this is a community that grows and gets even richer and more interesting as the years go by, because it's very personally driven.
Yes, that's definitely true. Thank you so much for mentioning that. And I would love to be able to hear from you then, like you've mentioned, that you've got a few good examples to share. I'd love to hear some memorable experiences where you've had good collaboration across the globe, but also with different working groups. And what have you gained from that?
Well, firstly, the group on a very personal level has helped me to build much deeper relationships with people that, frankly, I'd only ever seen either in print or on stage, or to put it bluntly, giving the official line on anything because of the positions they hold, the organizations they work with. And what this network has given me is the chance to see the other side of them.
Yes.
Which doesn't necessarily contradict the things that they've said on stage. It just helps you understand the depth, why they've said it, and also the reality of what they're going through. So I think that has been immensely valuable for me, and I think that is partly because the trust and the affinity within the network has grown over time. So what you tend to find when you engage is that initial warmth. The default setting is to warmth, not who are you? Why should I speak to you? It's the opposite of that. I suppose the other sorts of things that I've gained, I mean, this is obviously a relatively small number overall of us doing specific trips. India was quite literally a life-changing trip for me with the group launching there. Why? Because of the people I met, the conversations I had, but also because it allows you to get close to the ground.
Mhm.
rather than just reading about a huge country ecosystem economy. You're actually walking the streets, you're actually having better conversations. The final example, Tracy, just very briefly, is in one particular country, I had been used to just hosting a series of events. And the truth is, I was often, as I was hosting them, even though they were brilliant, I was often in my bubble because I was very specifically located at those events. And through the network, I was able to reach out to a fellow advocate and just say, do you fancy a coffee? And I would say I learned more about that country in an hour with that advocate than I had done in my previous 6 visits.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. So that's a really good message to send to anyone who wants to be able to get in contact with the leaders of those groups and hopefully have an experience like Ollie's had and be able
Yeah.
to learn
And
about
they will
that location.
And I tend to be very generous because even if there's not a official Global Tech Advocates event happening at the time of your visit, what they can often do is tell you what you should check out while you're in town, or just help your radar to become a little better lit up.
Definitely. I would say then also plug the Global Tech Advocate Launchpad, which is a starting point to find out who does lead these groups that are all listed behind me, but also what could be available in those locations, and then contact them for that's what they're there for. So it'd be really great to see people doing that and taking advantage of it. And it's all free. So that's really the bonus on top. But I would love to also ask you next then. From your perspective, then, looking into the future, how do you see global tech advocates helping shape the future of technology and the whole ecosystem?
Well, I think, funny enough, Tracy, your backdrop sort of emphasizes this, but if we're going to solve the biggest challenges facing our planet, we're going to need ideas and talent and energy from everywhere. And frankly, not just from the countries who at any one time might be closest to us, that I mean that physically and in relationship terms. So we need that bigger picture. And very often, governments aren't best placed to forge and maintain those connections. And that's why grassroots global networks matter so much. So I think it is about talent, access to ideas, access to opportunity, cross-pollination of ideas, not being afraid to share what works, not being afraid to talk about what doesn't work, but also realizing that this is a community that will easily be around for another 10 years and more. And you can't always say that about all politicians, even all organizations, Tracy. So there's something I find reassuring and exciting about that.
Oh, that's so comforting to hear. So thank you so much, Ollie. And hopefully people will be able to help Russ Shaw, the founder, to be able to join in with more locations across the globe because I know that he's looking to have more and more countries and locations join. So that's really good to hear. So
The thing is, Tracy, sorry, I know we're going to go on to the next question, but if you think I'm just looking at this amazing map as you speak, there we have, Canada and France and California, Boston. So often, what you hear in the news is just distilled to the latest pithy headline
yes,
about a speech or a policy, and it just hides all of the amazing richness and diversity of what's actually going on in those countries.
yeah, definitely.
And I think it's just important to just say that is a surface layer, and this community can help you understand what's actually happening.
Yes, definitely. And hopefully more and more people will be able to capitalize on that when they're trying to look at which countries to go and internationalize to, right? And whether they're the right places to go to, the right markets to go to. So that's really helpful. So just to end then, I just wanted to get your take, please, Ollie, on for anyone who's considering to join Global Tech Advocates and Tech London Advocates, what would you say they stand to gain from joining the community and what advice would you give them?
Oh, well, on a purely personal note, I think it would be a very good investment in their career, if nothing else, because actually the knack to becoming well connected is the art of keeping in touch.
Yes.
And through joining a global network, you already increases your chances of keeping in touch with the people you're meeting through it because they're not just here today, gone tomorrow. You are part of that network. Um, I think joining this community, as opposed to reading a well-known publication or a news headline, is you can get one step ahead
Yes.
in terms of those clues and insights about what's going on. I think you get to meet amazing people. And back to that point of amazing people, it's back to that diversity. I've met people in their teens and in their 70s. I've met people from pretty much every corner of the world. And I've often met people, despite my on-stage interviewing, which is what I'm often doing, I've often met people when they're considering what's next for them or
Mhm.
taking risks with ideas. And that feels very fresh and very real and not what you always get just by reading updates on social. So I think it's that honesty about where the world is going and where these individuals are going as well. And that's what you're tapping into.
Wow, that's definitely true. I think it's really great that you've highlighted that so people feel the gratitude of that and actually appreciate it and capitalize on it. I think there's an element of sometimes you're hearing what's the emerging issues and emerging thoughts and not necessarily realizing it. So I think that's really great that you've highlighted that. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time today, Ollie. It's been really great to hear all your thoughts, and I really appreciate it. And if anyone wants to contact you, where do they find you?
Oh, well, so I'm very easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn. Always happy to connect with fellow advocates.
Thank you.